In this video, we're going to look at how to find the missing side of a right triangle. A right triangle is a triangle that has a right angle in it. Angles of a triangle always add up to 180, and if one of the angles is a right angle, then it's a right triangle. The Pythagorean theorem is what we're going to use. The Pythagorean theorem says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This formula can be used on any triangle that is a right triangle. So it looks like a very basic formula. It just has 3 letters in it, and the 3 letters represent the 3 sides of the triangle. C is always the side across from the right angle. It's always the side not touching the right angle. The name for the longest side of a right triangle is called the hypotenuse. So in this problem where we're missing this side, we are missing the hypotenuse. We are missing C. So I'm just going to leave it as C. A and B are the shortest 2 sides of the right triangle. A and B are the 2 sides that are directly touching the right angle. A and B are called the legs of the right triangle. So in this problem, 21 and 20 are the legs of the right triangle. It doesn't matter which one you assign as A and which one you assign as B. This one has to be C because it's the longest side. We don't have a choice in that one. With these two, we do have a choice. It doesn't matter whether you decide this one's A or B, or whether this one's A or B. I tend to try to make the shortest side A and the second shortest side B. So I'm going to take 20 and I'm going to put it in here where it says A squared. And I'm going to take 21 and put it in here where it says B squared. Now if I solve this problem, I will find the missing side of this right triangle. I will be able to find C. So I'm going to grab my calculator and I'm going to do 20 squared, which is 400, plus 21 squared, which is 441, so now that I know 20 squared is 400 and 21 squared is 441, I can simplify this problem. If I want to know what C is, I should do everything I can to simplify the equation as much as possible. And I can simplify right here, 400 plus 441. That's 841. And that's equal to C squared. Now I want to know what C is. This side is obviously not 841 inches. I want to know what C is, but this problem is telling me what C squared is. So if I want to get rid of that squared, if I want to undo C being squared, the opposite of squaring something is square rooting something. So if I square root C squared, the result of that is C. If I square root this side of the equation, I have to also square root this side of the equation. Remember, when we do something to an equation on one side, we have to do the exact same thing to the other side. So as long as I'm square rooting this side, I have to also square root this side. So I'm going to do the square root of 841. I'm going to do that on my calculator. I'm going to find the square root button, do 841 and hit enter. The answer is 29. So this missing side is 29, and it was labeled with inches, so it's 29 inches. All right, let's do another example. In this question, I see it's a right triangle, so I immediately write the formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, sometimes called the Pythagorean theorem. Now I need to figure out which letter is missing, and again, just like the last one, C is missing. The side across from the right angle is missing, so I'm just going to leave it as C. You'll notice they labeled as X. If you want to change the C to X, that's fine. Doesn't matter which letter you actually assign to it. 7 and 24, I'm going to say are A and B. So I'm going to do 7 squared plus 24 squared is equal to C squared. 7 squared is one that we have memorized. That's 49. 24 squared, I'm going to use my calculator on that one, and get 576. And then to simplify this problem, I see right here those two numbers can be added. I can simplify this problem. 576 plus 49 is equal to 625. And then just like the last problem, I don't want c squared. I want just plain old c. So I need to square root both sides to get it to be c equals the square root of 625 is 25. So I'm going to write c equals 25. The answer to this one is 25 centimeters. All right. So these two examples, both of the triangles were missing the longest side, the hypotenuse, C. In this example, you'll notice that the missing side is not it's not the hypotenuse, it's one of the shorter two sides, one of the legs. So we're still going to set it up the same way, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm going to label this c because it's the longest side. I'm going to label this b, and I'm going to label this a. So in this problem, we're missing one of the legs. So when I go to plug in numbers here, I'm going to plug in 45 for B and 53 for C. This is where I'm going to grab my calculator. 45 squared is, whoops. Oh, geez. I'm making a mess. 45 squared is 2,025. And 53 squared is 2,809. So all I'm doing here is I'm taking the problem, putting it in the calculator, and writing the answer right underneath. I still don't know a squared, so I'm just going to bring that down. In the last two problems, we were able to add these two numbers because they were both numbers. We could add them. And now in this one, we can't add these two because I don't know what a squared is. So think back to how to solve an equation. If I have an unknown, I'm going to work to get it alone by undoing all the parts of it using inverse operations. So if I want to get this 2025 to go away, to get away from the a squared, I'm going to subtract 2025 from both sides. And by doing that right here, I would get the a squared all by itself. And over here, I would get 9 minus 5 is 4, 10 minus 2 is 8, 7 minus 0 is 7, 784. Just like the last two problems, it gives us a squared. I don't want the squared there, so I'm going to square root both sides. And the square root of 784 is 28. So in this question, the missing side is 28 feet. All right, and the last question for today. Set it up. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is 41, right? It's the side across the right angle. I'm going to say b is 40. And I'm going to say that I'm missing a. So a squared, I can't do anything to it yet. 40 squared is 1,600. And 41 squared is 1,681. So now if I want to know what a squared is, I need this 1,600 to go away. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 1,600. I get a squared equals 81. Those subtract to be 81. I don't want a squared. I want plain old a. I need that squared to go away, and I'm going to undo it by square rooting. And the square root of 81 is 9. So the missing side here is 9 centimeters. So that is how you use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side of a right triangle.